sorry, Jack. Chucky's back.
What up, it's your boy T-Bird here on the reaction. It's time for some kill counts. So yeah, and I'm back on the game. I'm back in the transition. Back on schedule with the kill counts as well too. So we're back on the Chucky kill counts. So now we're gonna do Curse of Chucky, which came out in 2013. Now this is one of the straight to video ones, and I can probably see why, because the bride and Seed Chucky probably just killed the franchise. But I did hear like this, and definitely Colt brought it back to life. And they did a remake. I told y'all I'm not gonna do a kill count the remake because I want to watch for myself, unless my chicken of a girlfriend don't let me watch, chicken of a fiance don't let me watch it, and I had no choice but to watch the kill count. But anyway, let's get to Curse Chucky, and this will be a try not to look away. So without further ado, let's get it.
Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're
like I ain't seen this one, but I know this, and I know definitely Coke will be a good challenge for me for not trying to look away, because they might get vicious.
Curse of Chucky, released in 2013, 9 years after Seed, the biggest gap between any two films in the Chucky franchise. Curse of Chucky is also the latest film in the series, that is until this Tuesday, October 3rd, when Cult of Chucky comes out on DVD.
Oh, this is before it came out.
Sees a return to form for the series formerly known as Child's Play. Gone are the self-aware lines, the J-O-ing dolls, and even the little family Chucky had built up. But make no mistake, this is not a reboot to the series, and it doesn't ignore past events. The final 20 minutes of the film connected to everything that came before it, minus one gender-fluid offspring. Chucky also pulls himself into the 2010s with a new look. Will his makeover and the direct-to-DVD release of this movie allow him to give us some amazing kills? Spoiler alert, yes.
I didn't spoil him again, so now let's get ready.
The movie begins with a delivery, but unlike with Seed, it's not of a newborn baby murder doll. Instead, a regular old package is getting delivered to this giant gothic mansion occupied by mother Sarah and daughter Nika. Nika, who's in a wheelchair and played by Brad Dourif's real-life daughter, Fiona Dourif, answers the door and gets by the delivery.
I think she is on the
contains, to no one's surprise, one good
she
guy.
Is on the Colt.
Still got the same
I think she knows Colt.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Neither mother nor daughter knows where it came from or who sent it though, so Sarah trashes it right away. That night we hear some screaming, and after Nika takes the house's elevator downstairs to the ground floor, she discovers a very reflective pool of blood that makes her scream and sends her to what's basically the Baby Jane phone to call the police. Looks like Sarah's our first kill of the film, lying in the middle of the floor, having been stabbed by Chucky with some scissors, which we see later in the flashback, but I'll just show it right now. And already this movie's tone is drastically different than the two that came before it. For instance, check out this title card. That's pretty sleek.
He
shows a maturity in his filmmaking with stuff like having the camera do a cool spin move around Chucky and reveal a new scene as authorities take Sarah out in a body bag. Later on, Nika gets a visit from her sister Barb. Barb's brought Father Frank along to pray for Sarah's forgiveness, even though Nika and Sarah left the church long ago, so, you know, Nika's not really into it. Sorry, Frank. Also on the scene is Barb's husband Ian, their daughter Alice, who's like regular kid cute, not Andy Barkley crazy cute, and their nanny Jill, who is, well, she's also cute. At least Ian seems to think so. Look at that leer. He goes off to help Jill and Alice, and Barb seems to notice his interest. As Alice is being a big girl and using the potty all by herself, she notices the curtain shift, and after flushing but not washing her hands, she goes and pulls them back to reveal Chucky. There's a little jump scare when he shoots his arm out, but overall, Alice is satisfied with her new giant good guy doll. Cool, how about washing those hands now? Barb is trying to get Nika to move so they can both sell the house since times are hard for her family.
We're gonna have to send Alice to public school.
The others return, and Nika seems surprised by where Alice found Chucky, but that's okay. Alice says Chucky is her friend to the end and hugs him. Chucky apparently takes some amphetamines, because them pupils be doing Requiem for a Dream shit there. Nika offers to cook dinner for everyone, so she gets to work with the poorest knife skills I've ever seen. As she and Alice set the table, Chucky gets up to his old tricks again, pouring some rat poison into one of the bowls of chili. And to her credit, Nika does notice that he's on the floor instead of in the chair now. I like how observant her character is. She's a smart cookie. You know what else I like? Good direction. And this next scene is the best directed sequence since the original trilogy. Dinner is set, none of us knowing which plate is the poisoned one, and as the characters deliberate and change where they want to sit, the camera spins around overhead, giving us a sort of Russian roulette effect where we don't know who's gonna eat the poison, even though, you know, we do all know who's gonna eat the poison. Still, to fake the audience out a few times, Ian does the classic, oh my god, oh this is so good thing, and Alice says her chili tastes funny. But we're not fooled, Curse of Chucky. We all know the most disposable character is gonna be the one who gets got, so it's no surprise when Father Frank starts sweating and excuses himself because he doesn't feel so great. Oh what, he just takes off? Are we gonna have an off-screen poison kill? Chucky, that wasn't very considerate of you. We're here to count kills, not guess fatalities. Oh, but wait, now we're at the scene of an accident, and as these cops assess the situation, they pass by two bodies on the ground, giving us our second and third kills of the film. They were victims of a head-on car crash, and you'll never guess who was driving the other car. Actually, yeah, you will. It's Father Frank. And it looks like he's gotten himself into a bit of a pickle there. Officer Stanton tells Frank they're gonna get him out, but when they move the wreckage from around his neck, blood starts pouring. Fucked up, Stanton. It's not just a fountain of blood either. Frank's straight off his and the backseat of his car while blood spurts from his neck. This kill sets us up for the increased and more realistic gore in this movie. Meanwhile, the spooky castle watching old home movies that are gonna give us a bunch of retconning. They see Sarah pregnant with Nika, and when Jill asks what happened to Papa Pierce, Barb says he drowned that year, just weeks before Nika was born. Then whoever's operating the camera starts filming the best Tommy Wiseau impersonator in Chicago that I'm sure they hired for this barbecue. In fact, the next reel is 15 minutes of them tossing a football back and forth. Alice walks in and says Chucky's missing because he's hiding, so Barb sends Alice to bed and Jill off to find Chucky. Her search is fruitless except for giving us a couple of jump scares with some clowns and some windows, although she does notice a knife is missing from the kitchen. Then she runs into Barb, and in a sapphic twist, they start making out, revealing that it's actually Barb who's been having the affair with Jill.
God, I've missed you.
Yep, turns out Barb wants to sell the house so she and Jill can have the money to run away together. Nika finds Chucky vegging out on the couch with Ian, who wakes up and starts cycling through Chucky's scripts.
Hi, I'm Chucky, and I'm your friend till the end.
That one's a classic.
Excuse me. I believe the classic line includes a hearty hidey-ho, which this Chucky doll appears to be lacking. Fake, not classic. Anything else?
Yeah, the 80s were awesome.
No, they weren't. Nika gives Chucky back to Alice, and Barb lectures Nika on how she needs to have someone living with her because she can't take care of herself, a point she thinks is proven when they realize Nika somehow got a knife wound in her leg but didn't notice since she can't feel it. A storm rages on outside, dripping water into a bucket in Alice and Jill's room as Barb puts Alice to bed for the night. The thunderbolts and lightning are very, very frightening, so Alice turns to Chucky for comfort, hiding under the covers with him, where Chucky finally comes out to play for real, a full 45 minutes into the movie.
Chucky, I'm scared.
You fucking should be.
And here's the thing, we're halfway through this movie and this is the first time we've heard Brad Dourif's voice, and to be honest, I didn't even realize. This movie has such better developed characters and production value than the last few films that it feels much more like the original two, and I mean that as a very high compliment. Downstairs, Nika takes the packing slip from the Chucky delivery and calls a number that was on it, and through a broken up phone conversation, she hears that the doll came from an evidence depository. She also goes online to everyone's favorite search engine, internet search, and looks up Chucky doll evidence, which gives us a bunch of fun little flashbacks to earlier moments in the series, like when it followed the cutest 6-year-old who's ever lived. She looks up a picture of Charles Lee Ray, and hey, it's that dude from the home movie footage. What do you know? Meanwhile, upstairs, Jill undresses to go to sleep and doesn't see Chucky slip out of the bed behind her. She and Barb start having what must be the lowest ping cyber sex of all time, being just down the hall from each other, and honestly, ladies, this is not the best time to be doing this shit, as your cyber-cucked husband sleeps right next to you, Barb. Chucky doesn't really get cyber sex, though, so he rudely interrupts Jill, who doesn't really scream or anything when she sees him. Entirely in silence, he kicks open the bucket of rainwater right into the outlet plugged into. If only she had charged that shit earlier, man. The water and electricity do their thing, sending shocks everywhere and melting off Jill's one eye. Her death is also in complete silence, even when she collapses onto the ground, which is honestly pretty considerate of everyone else in the house. Nobody likes a noisy house guest. With her cyber sex session interrupted, Barb gets up to go check on Alice, and Ian confronts her about Jill. Barb tries to turn it back around on him, but it turns out he knows.
I've seen the way you look at her.
Ditto.
Ian tells Barb that if she is having an affair, he could easily take Alice away from her, so it's a good thing you put a nanny cam inside Chucky to get some footage to check later. Instead of like going to retrieve that footage and make sure Barb doesn't wipe it or anything, he instead puts in some earplugs and goes back to sleep, ignoring Barb's babbling. Barb goes off to look for Alice, but instead only finds Chucky sitting on the stairs to the attic. Nika sees them upstairs, and there's a real over-the-top dramatic push-in on the two of them. Then some Three's Company level miscommunication happens, where Nika tries to tell Barb about Charles Lee Ray's soul inside the doll, but Barb thinks she's talking about the nanny cam, so she gets mad and leaves her stuck downstairs since the power outage disabled the elevator. But Nika is one of the toughest characters in the Chucky franchise, so she gets to work going upstairs the hard way. Hell yeah, Nika, work them tries. Get swole! Barb heads into the attic to find Alice, but instead the only thing she's able to find is hidden inside Chucky's overalls. Chucky, is that a butcher knife, or are you just happy to see Barb? Oh, it's a butcher knife. Barb then notices some aberrations on his face that definitely weren't there before, and when she picks at them, she finds a bunch of stitches left over from his toe.
Oh shit.
He bites at her finger, which scares her to the floor, then hops down and holds her at knife point while he tears off the rest of his face and goes full nihilist on her.
There is no God.
Then he tells Barb that she has her mother's eyes, so you know what's coming next. Oh! Crawl towards the attic.
I'm looking.
And lands on the floor.
One eye looking.
Barb stumbles into view and falls down the stairs, landing on
one eye looking.
Cyclops' corpse and our 6th victim in the movie. Guess
I still look.
Chucky has a real eye for
almost lost.
Stalking down the stairs towards Nika.
Damn, standing right eye.
Barb's eye and
oh gosh, crushed the eye too. Shit.
And after one quick gander at Chucky, Nika nopes out of there with a spare wheelchair, rolling into
This
Ian's
close to
room and locking
breaking.
the door behind her. She wakes up Ian and gives him a quick rundown of the sitch, so he carries her downstairs and into her first floor chair. He leaves her in the garage while he runs back inside to find Alice, and while he's gone, Chucky sneaks in and starts up the car in an attempt to kill Nika with carbon monoxide, the silent killer, which is a nickname Chucky will never have. Ian comes back into the garage and thinks Nika be looking crazy, so he suspects that she's the one who killed Jill and Barb. Nika starts having a heart thing that was kind of talked about earlier, and she implores Ian to inject the good stuff under her ribs so he can save her. But he goes super fucking cold-blooded and just stands there letting her pass out. Damn, dude, you got some ice in them veins. The last thing she sees before passing out is blurry Chucky on the move. She comes to and finds herself tied to her wheelchair, but it's just crazy fucking Ian who did it, not Chucky. He duct tapes her mouth shut, then goes to his nanny cam footage to find evidence of what's going on. The footage reveals that Chucky had Alice hide in a closet and locked her in it. That's what we call pulling the real kettlewell. Then Ian switches over to the live feed to see Chucky's POV coming into the room. Chucky uses the wheelchair to hit Ian and flip him on his back, then takes an axe over to Ian's prone body and freaking chops his jaw off. God damn! Nice Chuckster. Wait a minute. Does this take place in Underland? Is this Baron Underland's origin story? Only like 3 people got that reference. Chucky then turns his attention to Nika, but she's able to free herself enough so when he charges her, he only lands a hit on her leg. It doesn't hurt her, so she's able to just bitch slap him to kingdom come. Then she dislodges the axe from her leg and uses it to straight up decapitate Chucky, whose headless body faints. But we must be back to kill the horror rules because as she's bandaging her leg wound, Chucky gets up behind her and puts himself back together again. No horses or king's men required. He's somehow able to muster up the strength to roll Nika full speed down the hallway and into the banister, sending her crashing down in a kind of beautiful slow motion shot to the ground level floor where she bleeds out. When he goes down to confront her, she tells him she knows that he's Charles Lee Ray, and now things are about to get weird.
Didn't your mother ever mention me? I'm an old friend of the family.
Yep, it's time for a flashback, where a visibly older Brad Dourif plays Charles Lee Ray, supposedly at the age he was in the first movie. A friend introduces him to Sarah and her husband Daniel at that home movie barbecue, and then later, Charles picks the most inopportune time to make eyes at Sarah, doing it at Daniel's funeral. I guess we'll include Daniel's death here on the kill count. Barb said he drowned earlier, but a deleted scene shows Charles Lee Ray picking Daniel up right before this funeral scene. Even without that scene, it's easy to connect the dots, because the very next thing we cut to is Sarah tied up while Charles brings her some selectively colored flowers. The police arrive, apparently having been contacted by Sarah somehow, and before you can even comprehend what's going on, Charles takes out a knife and puts it to Sarah's belly, and, well, it cuts to black and she screams, but Nika fills in the blank for us.
You did this to me.
Yeah, that's a little much, and things get even more complicated when one final flashback shows why Chucky blames Nika and Sarah for his current condition. Turns out his escape from the police after stabbing Sarah's belly was the same foot chase that at the toy store from the original. Not exactly sure how Eddie Caputo would have been involved if Charles Lee Ray was fleeing police investigating a kidnapping situation, but fuck it, I guess. Chucky gives her a TLDR about how the past 25 years have gone for him.
Since then, a lot of families have come and gone, but Nika, your family was always my favorite.
Aw, man, that really hurts. I always thought the Barclays were your favorite. You and Andy had something special, man. Maybe that's why he name drops Andy, insisting he more or less killed Andy by ruining his childhood, but Nika presses him on the point, saying he never actually killed Andy, and that Chucky must have something called completion anxiety. I don't think that's a real thing. She crawls into the elevator, and since he slips on some blood, she's able to close the door and hold it shut against Chucky as he slashes away at her fingers, eventually full out grabbing the knife by the blade and wresting it away from it. You tough as hell, Nika. The final fight begins as Chucky scratches her face and bites into her shoulder before she's finally able to bring the knife down straight into his back. She rips it out and his stuffing snows down upon her. It's a Child's Play miracle. And in true Child's Play spirit, Chucky pops back up and laughs. Officer Stanton arrives at the house since he learned it was where Father Frank spent his last headful hours. And upon hearing Nika's scream, he busts in and finds her looking all crazy inside the elevator. He eyes Barb's corpse, and since Nika's sitting there with a knife, it looks like she got some splaining to do. Chucky chills in a rocking chair, keeping his little plastic mouth shut. Let's get into the denouement of this movie, shall we? Because there's kind of a lot of it. A courtroom scene shows Nika being sentenced to a facility for the criminally insane.
That goes to cults.
Chucky and starts yelling at him.
Alive, you son of a bitch, you hear me?
I'm still alive!
Yep, just keep laughing your crazy head off, Nika. That'll get you a discharge. Officer Stanton glances at Chucky suspiciously, then takes him inside an evidence bag to his cop car. He calls someone and, wait, says he's on his way and for them not to forget his money? Are we going full Officer Bailey here? Guess so, since Jennifer Tilly pops up and damn, J-Tails, you still rocking it, huh? That was a much brighter and more bloody throat slit than Bailey. I think Cursed may be the goriest film in the series. Tilly laughs to herself and opens the bag with Chucky.
So, who's next?
You'd think that'd be it, but we've actually got a couple more stops before this train ride is over, folks. First is Tilly taking a good guy-sized box to the post office to overnight Chucky off somewhere. Then we cut to Alice coming home to her grandma's house and wondering where old Mima is. Looks like the package was shipped to her place, and Chucky's standing right behind you, Alice! Alice tries to talk to Chucky about her problems,
Mommy and Daddy are dead.
but he's just interested in playing games.
Hide the soul.
Here we go again. He has her close her eyes and gets to work. Yeah, you know the rest by now. Give me the power, yada yada yada. While he's going through the extended director's cut of the chant, the camera pans away to a jump scare with the grandma popping up, suffocating inside a plastic bag. I'll count her as a kill, but what the fuck? Alice didn't hear that going on right behind her? Maybe grandma's pulling the Jill and dying all considerate and silent. Even though it seems like it's over, there's a post-credit sequence in which Chucky joins the Avengers. Just kidding. It takes place 6 months later, and guess who's in it? It's Andy Barclay, like actual Alex Vincent, who played Andy in parts 1 and 2. He gets a package that's very obviously Chucky, meaning I guess the body swap with Alice didn't end up working after all. While Andy is on the phone with his mom, Chucky starts sawing his way out of the box. Longtime Child's Play fans get a ton of treats here. Andy asks his mom about Mike, meaning her and Detective Norris are still together, and we see Andy's diploma from Kent as well as pictures of his foster sister Kyle and a nice promotional shot of him and Karen from the first movie. Chucky finally gets out of the box, but apparently Andy's been planning for this, as Chucky turns around to face a shotgun pointed at him.
Play with this.
Andy!
Bam!
I'm not gonna count Chucky on the list because it was so off-screen and that fucker's hard to kill. Don't worry though, plenty of other people died. Let's find out how many and get to the numbers. Ha!
Almost lost it when the girl got stabbed in the eye, but
10
I
people
made it
died
through
in Curse of
barely.
Chucky, less than the Tilly movies, but still more than the original trilogy.
I'm trying to
Of the
figure
victims,
this.
6 were
I
guys
think
and 4 were gals,
Nika's
and
on
for once,
is on
Chucky's not
Colt.
included on that list. With a runtime of 96 minutes, the longest in the series, that comes out to a kill on average every 9.6 minutes. Golden Chainsaw for coolest kill is a tough one here, but I'll go with Ian. We've seen decapitations and eye stabs aplenty, but there's something fun and unique about getting just your jaw chopped off. Adult Machete for lamest kill will go to Daniel Pierce, who got drowned off screen. That's a kill so lame, even his funeral ended up in monochrome. And that's it. Curse of Chucky was released in 2013, and not only returned the series to a more serious tone,
same
but
girl
also tied
on-
all the previous
on
ones
Curious.
together. I'm excited to see how that pays off with the brand new film, Cult of Chucky, coming out this
Curse.
Tuesday on DVD and Blu-ray. I'll be pulling some all-nighters to get the kill count out for you next Friday. But until then, I'm James A. Janice. This has been the Kill Count. Hey guys, thanks a lot.
So yeah. Oh, not yet.
Welcome to the Kill Count.
Stop. Not yet. That's gonna be next time. But yeah, almost lost it. So you know I might lose on Colt. Yeah, you know I did see it, but I did turn my head a lot on Colt because a lot too is going on. So yeah, I didn't know that Nick. I remember that that she was part of a curse that I heard about because of watched it. But yeah, so she did care. I did remember hearing that she was from Curse when I watched the movie with my friend at the time. So yeah, almost lost. I did, but I was still watching. One eye. Ironically, but yeah, that kill got me, almost got me. Well, other than that, if you like my reaction, like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's your boy T-Bird signing off. One love.